Our job is to legislate, not to continue to investigate something in the back when you cannot find any reason to impeach this president. She cannot unilaterally decide we're in an impeachment inquiry. Today, I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. This logical next step will give our committees the full power to gather all the facts and answers for the American public. That's exactly what we want to know, the answers.
This logical next step is not exactly how I would frame opening this impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. I also think that it's not how the Kevin McCarthy of simply a few days ago would have framed it either, considering he is going back on his word, and we'll get into that in a minute. But let's start, of course, with just the facts of what's going on. And the New York Times reported Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Tuesday opened an impeachment inquiry into President Biden, working to appease far-right lawmakers who have threatened to oust him if he fails to accede to their demands for deep spending cuts that would force a government shutdown at the end of the month. It continues on. Mr. McCarthy said he would task 3 committees, Oversight, Judiciary, and Ways and Means, with carrying out the inquiry into the president and his family as Republicans hunt for evidence of financial wrongdoing or corruption. After months of digging, Republicans have found no such proof, though they argue that they have enough information to warrant more investigation. Enough information being nothing. Absolutely nothing. They've got nothing on Joe Biden, but if they just dig a little bit further, surely they'll find it. If we just put a little bit more money, if we just waste a little bit more taxpayer dollars investigating this, if we just stop legislating and doing our jobs and instead focus on this, surely we'll find something. Trump wants us to find something. Surely we'll have to find something eventually. I don't think they will, but that's essentially what they're saying to their voters and to the public now. And I think the White House hit the nail on the head when they described this as extreme politics at its worst. In fact, Ian Sams, the White House spokesperson, put out a statement about this. He said, House Republicans have been investigating the president for 9 months and they've turned up no evidence of wrongdoing. His own Republican members have said so. You'll probably remember on this show, we covered House Freedom Caucus member Ken Buck, while asked about this in an interview on, I believe, MSNBC, said that there was no evidence and no reason to impeach. And we'll get into more about that in a little bit, because he has made further statements more recently. Now, you'll probably also remember Kevin McCarthy said this just a few days ago. We'll pull up this headline from The Hill. McCarthy says he won't open impeachment inquiry without House vote, but wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? He did exactly that, and we'll get into some of the political implications behind that in a minute. But let's also, before we get there, let's talk about another issue that was outlined by Dana Bash when it comes to this impeachment and their argument there. Let's take a look.
The heart of the impeachment inquiry is about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. This is not about since Joe Biden has been president of the United States. This is pre that.
Yeah.
And so another question is whether that's even a thing. Can you impeach somebody, a president, for something that didn't allegedly occur when he was president?
Now, what she's referencing is the fact that most of the information that they're trying to pin as crimes against Joe Biden are stemming from things that happened while he was vice president. They're claiming that he pressured a prosecutor to step down and stop investigating Burisma, which Hunter Biden sat on the board of. You'll remember that from the Trump impeachment trial that happened during Trump's presidency. Of course, Republicans tried to create a whole show out of that, and again, limited information they had on that at the time. But she makes an excellent point. Can they impeach Joe Biden for something he did when he wasn't even president? Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the story the political implications about this, and so let's get into some of those, because we're starting to see a divide within the Republican Party, and I say let them fight. But let's take a look at what Matt Gaetz had to say about this.
This is a baby step following weeks of pressure from House conservatives to do more. We must move faster. No continuing resolutions, individual spending bills or bust, votes on balanced budgets and term limits, subpoenas for Hunter Biden and the members of the Biden family who've been grifting off of this country, and the impeachment for Joe Biden that he so richly deserves. Do these things or face a motion to vacate the chair. And let me alert the country, a motion to vacate might not pass at first, but it might before the 15th vote.
So as many of you will remember, Matt Gaetz was one of the members of the Republican Party who opposed Kevin McCarthy's bid for speakership, although ultimately did end up voting for him to be speaker after rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds of voting in the House. But if you caught on to this, what he's complaining about was that McCarthy wasn't impeaching Joe Biden fast enough. He announced the impeachment, and that was still not enough for Matt Gaetz. And he was threatening to, for anyone who's unfamiliar with the term, vacate the chair, vacate the speaker. What he's threatening is to oust Kevin McCarthy from office or hold votes to oust Kevin McCarthy from office. In fact, in that speech he gave, he said he was gonna do it at every option. He said that they're going to do the prayer at the beginning of House sessions. They're going to do the pledge, and then he's going to motion to vacate to get rid of Kevin McCarthy because he hasn't given enough to the far right of the party, which I think is laughable if you know anything about Kevin McCarthy.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.